Hello there, and welcome to FM On Demand with Tara Fitzpatrick. I'm your host, Tara Fitzpatrick, and today we have a very interesting episode for you. And I'm just getting over a cold, so I apologize. This might be the kind of spluttering episode, but I'm feeling better. I'm on the mend. It was a back to school cold, courtesy of my daughter. But anyhow, today we are talking with two people from Allegheny General. They are with Cura Hospitality, and their names are Wendy Flynn and Jessica Kotuba. They have created something that's for kind of a difficult situation that's part of hospital life, which is when people get bad news. They've created this comfort cart to bring comfort to people. And they explained to us what goes into that. And I also had questions because a little bit of a story time. When I started out in my career, I was a newspaper reporter. And many times I would have to interview people who had just suffered an awful loss. And I would get emotional. I would start crying. Eventually, I toughened up. This was like in my early 20s. But then when I turned 31, I became a mom, and even more just emotionally, like things really get to me. So I had the question of how do you balance that? How being compassionate and at the same time, like keeping your sanity. So I think for people in healthcare, this is really, it's something to think about. It's, you want to care for other people, but you also need to take care of yourself. So you're able to do that. You need to fill your cup. And they had some great talking points about that and some other just interesting things that they have going on there, from Cura Hospitality. So thank you so much. Please enjoy this conversation. Welcome, Wendy and Jessica.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you.
us.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much for being here. And you are coming to us directly from Allegheny General. And I wanted to get a little bit of background, just about the hospital itself. How many beds are there, and how long have each of you been there?
Sure. The Allegheny General Hospital, it's a 576 bed facility. I've been at Allegheny, well, I've been with the Allegheny Health Network, which is a network of 9 hospitals within the Pittsburgh, Western Pennsylvania area. I've been with the network itself for a little over 7 years, but I've
Okay,
been at Allegheny General Hospital specifically for, it was a year in July.
gotcha. And how about you, Wendy?
Oh, well, I'm a newbie, so I'm just heading into my 6 months. Prior
Oh,
to working at Allegheny General Hospital, I was at Children's Hospital of Pittsburgh for 8.5 years.
nice. So you guys are both pretty experienced in this field.
Yes.
Very cool. And today we are going to talk about one aspect of what you do. And this, I just, as soon as I heard about it, I was interested because I had not have heard of anything exactly like this before. It is the comfort cart. And it's you guys, I will let you guys explain it. What is the comfort cart?
So our comfort carts are, a comforting item. How the process works is nursing would call down to our department and request the cart in the event that they have a family in a patient room, they receive bad news regarding the patient, maybe the patient's end of life, or maybe they got news that they're going to be put on hospice care and sent home, and it's just a cart of comforting items, whether it's muffins or some other types of snacks, chips, cookies, coffee, tea, just a nice professional upscale look to for nursing to take and deliver to the patients in the event that they receive this bad news.
And did it come about kind of, it sounds like it sort of came about organically where it was like, hey, could you, the nurses would call down to you guys and you're like, hey, and then you kind of just formalized it into like, this is the classic thing that's available for everybody.
Yes, it just organically came about. At Children's Hospital, we had the same kind of program. And where Jessica came from, they had a program. But when we got here to Allegheny General, they had a program, but it just was not what we wanted or what our thoughts should be when receiving a comfort cart. And when that comes into your room, I've been on the receiving end of those. it is a comforting thought. You don't think about food or the items that are on that cart, but when that cart arrives, you realize you were missing a couple things, something to drink,
Yeah.
something to eat,
Mm-hmm.
some tissue, whatever, that day that we're offering. So it just was a collaboration between me and Jessica on what that look should be. And then once we put the card together, we introduced it to the whole AHN system so that it could be a standard used across all hospitals.
Oh, cool. That's great that you guys basically came up with something and now it's further reaching than just your location. Very cool. And now you both have been doing this for a while. And this is a field where and death is a part of life. It's something that you have to deal with. I just thinking in terms of how do you deal with that kind of like with your own emotions? Like how have you found a way I don't know because you want to be compassionate and caring, but you also need to be sane and you need to be able to do your job. So I wonder if you could talk a little bit about that because it is hard to talk about for people.
Well, for me, you have a lot of outlets here at AGH when you've, seen something that, touches your heart or you need that sane part of your day. They have a decompression room here where you can go in, nice sounds, and just a nice environment with massage chairs. We have a chapel here as well. You could go out for a beautiful walk. We have a beautiful fountain across the street.
Oh, that would help. The outdoor
Yeah,
space would help for sure. Yeah.
you go out and they have beautiful benches and you can just reflect upon that time and what you had, and you can always speak to anyone here at the hospital as well. Jessica, maybe something that you may have seen with the hosts or hostesses, the same thing maybe.
I think for my hostesses, I guess the unit that we see, the nursing unit we see this the most on would probably be our cancer floor. We try to keep the same 1 to 2 hostesses or hosts on that floor because it offers consistency. They kind of become experienced in learning to deal with these things. And then we have the tenured host who is on that floor. He deals with it very well. He is very compassionate towards the patients who may be dealing with cancer and receiving very bad news, but he deals with it in such a way that I really can't even explain how he deals with it, but he's very good in helping newbies and coaching newbies, to be compassionate, but also be able to separate yourself from the situation so that you don't become, too attached, but still being able to offer a level of compassion.
Right. Yeah, I think some people do just have a knack for that, and that's why it would be great to be in this business when you're able to do that, and that's such a gift to be able, because I think some people would kind of like freak out maybe or go into like shutdown mode or something because it's a lot. And people like in my life that have dealt with cancer, one commonality that comes up is when they talk about the nurses, the hospice workers, you guys, it's like they always refer to them as just angels, like the family member. They're like, they are angels that came here. And like, I mean, it really does make a difference to have somebody with you when you're going through that. So for sure. And then I wanted to see like how does your each of your individual skill sets, like how are you using this, like with the human touch and with also with the food that you're making, like how is it tying in? Do you want to start, Jessica?
Yeah, sure. I think, for the human touch, it's just being able to interact with the patients in such a way. We always want to deliver a positive patient experience. I always tell my staff it's the little things that mean the most. The little things by just offering a friendly greeting and even telling the patient your name. I actually had a patient one time who told me that her host made such a difference in her day because she didn't just barge in and say, here's your breakfast, or, here's this test, or here's what I'm doing for you. She said, good morning, my name is Jessica, and just made all the difference in the world when she said her name. So I think, that's kind of the human touch, just, being relatable on the same level that we're all humans. We all go through things and we're here for you if you need anything. But then with food, I tell my staff that we get to be the bringers of good stuff, for
Yeah.
lack of better terms, because, you know,
Right.
all of
It's not
these
like, here's some blood work for you to do. Like,
yeah,
here's, we have to, oh gosh. Yeah.
yeah, here's medication. Let me poke you with these needles. Here's
Mhm.
this bad news. But food should be the positive in their stay. When they're
For
here in the
sure.
they don't have much to look forward to other than maybe a visitor, and then definitely their meals they have to look
Oh
forward
yeah.
to, and then ultimately going home. So when they're
Mhm.
here in the hospital, you know, we're bringing, you know, service with a smile, bringing the meal with a smile, and keeping it friendly, upbeat, and positive, because it truly makes a difference in their stay.
And we do that with our food. So visual, you eat with your eyes, then you taste it, right?
Mhm.
So that's where we come into play with the comfort cart. Depends on what type of day it is. If it's in the morning, well, we're going to offer morning items. If it's in the afternoon, we're going to offer afternoon items of fresh fruit with chicken salad. Those things go a long way. And then the little touches on that comfort card are lip balm, hand sanitizer, lotions, and some tissue. I mean, you're
Mhm.
grieving, you're going through a grieving process. Think about all the things that are happening and how
Yeah.
nice we have just to have a tissue or something to wet my lips.
Yes. Yeah. And that
Yeah.
cup of coffee or maybe a cup of tea if they want that, like just that warm, like, yeah, for sure. And it is true because obviously you're not focused on food, but then like the caregivers and the family and friends, like they're getting run down too. And like just feeling so this is like such a nice thing just to have. And have you gotten like feedback on it? Have people just kind of, I would imagine they would say directly like, oh, this is so nice or thanks. Like, have you gotten any like feedback yet?
From the nurses, yes. The
Oh,
nurses,
cool.
because they're the ones that push that cart in there because they are
Yep.
going through what the family is going through.
Yeah.
And yes, the feedback has been overwhelming to say the least.
Awesome.
It's anywhere from, a family is grateful that that we have a program put in place for them so they don't have to leave their loved ones to go down and get that cup of coffee or that hot cup of tea or just even just a Danish or something to keep them and tie them over. They never have to leave their loved
Yes,
one.
yes. You feel like you don't want to leave the room because many times, and I don't know about your hospital, but like they're confusing and it's like, this is going to take me a while to go get that. Like, I don't know where the cafeteria is. And sometimes they have a line on the floor or what have you, but it's like, you just want to be there with the person. So
And
definitely.
that comfort cart gives that family the opportunity to stay with their loved ones, but also being taken care of at the same time so they can be there for their family member.
Yeah, yeah. Man, such a good thing that you guys are doing. I mean, it's like people are dealing with some stuff when they come in there and you guys have been making a difference. Very cool. And I wanted to see if you guys could give us a preview of like any upcoming projects that you have that you're working on, like maybe for the fall and to the winter or next year.
Want to talk about the service recovery bag?
Yeah, so we have something called a service recovery bag.
Ooh.
So when everybody comes here, we want to give them the best experience. We want them to be completely satisfied when they leave. Sometimes that just doesn't happen.
Mhm.
And it may not be a food service. It may not be an EDS issue. It could be a
Yeah,
nurse. It could be anything. It could be parking.
yeah.
And their experience wasn't the greatest. And what we can do is we can't fix the problem, but we can listen to them and hear them out. And by hearing them out, we take a bag. It says we're completely satisfied. We give a little spiel on why we're sorry that this happened to you. We give them a $5 gift card to the cafeteria. And then we give them
Mhm.
a parking voucher because it's very expensive to park around here,
Oh,
especially in
yeah.
the city. And then we fill it with just little snacks so that when they leave that day, they have
Mhm.
something to go on their way home or their travels, like maybe a Belvita bar with some water or a Nutri-Grain bar with a fresh piece of fruit. But we send them home with a nice little bag, or if they're not leaving yet and they're in their room, we give them this little bag to remind them that we do hear you, we do care, and
Mhm.
we are going to be proactive in fixing this situation if it's something in our realm. If it's something
Yeah,
that's not, like they got bad news or they don't like their doctor, all we can do is lessen the blow and tell them they
yeah.
need food or comfort, please give us a call.
Yeah, yeah. And that leaves them with a more positive impression. And a lot of times, yeah, because it's people don't feel good. They're not going to be like in the best mood of their life and they're struggling or seeing people kind of at their worst sometimes. And it's like, and a lot of times people just want to be heard, I think, and then this is like a physically showing them like, hey, like here you go. I really like that. I think that's a good idea. You guys are focused on patients, and that's just right up to the minute what healthcare dining should be, which is patient focused. Very cool. And I wanted to see too, on a personal note, what each of you, if you cook at home, what have you been? Because I'm in a little bit of a cooking slump myself. I'm a good home cook, but it's just, and I'm asking all of my guests, like, what are you cooking at home that you've really liked? Or if you don't cook, what have you DoorDashed that you that you've enjoyed? Because I do that too.
Yes.
Oh, sure. I know for me and my husband, we both work a lot. I think that's why we get along so well, because we never see each other because we work so much.
That's the key.
We also have a lot of hobbies and we're very busy. So I think for me, casseroles are the way to go, especially, coming up into the fall. One of our favorites, because casseroles we can stretch throughout the week as well. And that way I only cook like 1, maybe 2 nights a week, and I have enough food for the whole week for us, just the 2 of us. One of our favorites is, I don't even know what to call it, but if you take like those big stuffed shell noodles.
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about? Okay. And then if you cook like some chicken and some stuffing and mix it together, and then mix it up with cream of chicken soup, and then stuff it in the shell noodles and line them up in a pan and pour cream of chicken soup over them, and then maybe you're going to make some rice or some mashed potatoes with them, and then just stretch that out through the week. That's definitely one of our favorites.
Oh yeah, that sounds like just such a good old down home, like kind of like chicken pot pie vibes. Really nice. I love that idea.
Who doesn't love pasta?
So true. So true. I know I love it.
I love Chinese. I'm into Chinese food, and if you can orange chicken me to death, I would probably do it. But what we love to do in our spare time with food is canning. So my husband and I have an orchard up at our we have a camp outside of Cadiz, Ohio. So we have an apple orchard up there, and he loves to make applesauce and apple butter, and the applesauce is served at our Thanksgiving dinner for family. So I am not allowed to touch it until then, even though I want to. And I just take a spoon into my apple butter and just eat it with any bread or crackers or anything.
Oh yeah,
that great. So that's what we do every time at this time of year, because we're just swimming in apples. So
oh yeah, similar climate between Ohio and Pennsylvania, so definitely. And that Cadiz, is Clark Gable from there? I think
yes, Clark Gable is from there. And in Jewett, where our actual place is, that is also Colonel Custard's. And they have his house there as well. So
so
Clark
cool.
Cadiz, and then him in Jewett, but it's a very nice rural town, and that's our getaway from the city.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, there's a lot of beautiful areas around here, and I know I love driving around here myself. So there's a lot to see, a lot of like one tank trips, as they call it. So for sure. All right, you guys. Well, I definitely want to stay in touch with you. I'm so happy to have met you, and we are so proud of the work that you're doing. Thank you so much, and keep up the good work.
Well, thank you.